The U.S. stock market continuing this volatile week. The S&P 500 has basically had $4 trillion with a T, $4 trillion in value wiped out since the peak in the last month. It's down about 9 to 10% in that month period, with a lot of problems over the past few days. We are witnessing a brewing financial revolt over President Trump's tariffs, some of his economic leadership, and recently his frankly odd refusal to even try to encourage the markets. Donald Trump basically passed on the opportunity to quiet concerns over a possible, quote, recession to start the week. Those markets now down, as you see, 8% or so in the last month, wiping out all initial gains from the period that began with Trump's inauguration in January. That was when Wall Street, which typically leans to the right, was bullish on a new president, even as he literally walked the floor of the trading floor there. It was a new president who vowed lower taxes and less regulation and smaller government, while also making deals with the billionaires and the tech gurus who are almost sort of worshipped on Wall Street. The point is, remember, not so long ago that it was a very warm start for the president. Doing almost nothing might have continued those warm feelings. But that's all now soured in response to President Trump's frankly unusual, chaotic first 7 weeks in office. The markets today you're looking at are down about another point or so, which is translated to about $350 billion lost in the S&P alone, on top of what I showed you, the broader slide over the tariff chaos and a general concern over the new president and the United States policies and where we're headed.
Trump voters are regretting voting for Trump, and they're letting it be known on Reddit. Today I'm going to read some of the comments on this Reddit feed called "The Leopards Ate My Face." I came across this a few days ago, and I just found it really interesting, amusing, disturbing, all those things. So anyway, you all know what Trump's doing with the trade war now. Trump and Musk. Just last night, he decided to raise the tariffs on Canada by 25% more on steel and aluminum. The starting Wednesday morning, it was 25%. Now it's going up to 50% because Doug Ford, the PM from Ontario, decided that he was going to raise electricity prices that they send down from Ontario to the United States. I think it's, northern New York, Vermont, they get electricity from Ontario. He was going to raise them for 25%. So Trump decided, okay, I'm going to raise aluminum and iron another 25%, aluminum and steel, another 25%, just to retaliate against Doug Ford. So this is the definition of a trade war. It's not going to hurt Trump. It's probably not going to hurt Doug Ford, but it's going to hurt us and the Canadian people, just regular people who have to buy all this stuff because electricity, obviously, people need electricity. It's winter to run their utilities in their houses, so they're just going to have to pay the 25%, right? Trump is not going to feel the electricity, obviously. He's a billionaire. He's never probably even seen his electricity bill in his whole life. That's the disconnect I don't understand with Americans voting for billionaires like him and Musk. They have no idea. If you watch interviews with Musk's father, he owned an emerald mine when Musk was younger. And he says in one interview I watched him that Elon Musk, he grew up, driving in Bentleys, having drivers. When they went on vacation, they went to their vacation resort, not to a vacation resort, and they took their private plane there. So, Elon Musk has probably never flown on a commercial plane, and I know Trump hasn't. So they're completely out of touch with what's going on in reality. But people keep voting for him. I don't understand why. It's make it make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Anybody who's a working person like me, if they thought about it for a minute, they would not want to vote for a billionaire. I came across this Reddit thread called "Leopards Ate My Face," Leopards Ate My Face. And I'm just going to read off some of these threads because they're, like I said, amusing, terrifying, and disturbing all at once. So president of Soybean Association and three-time Trump voter claims Trump crippled his industry during his first term. Can't fathom why Trump is doing the exact same thing in his second term. The head of a trade group that was hit extremely hard during Trump's first term continued voting for him, seemingly unaware that he was going to do the exact same thing. Now he wants additional welfare for farmers. I did the same thing as last time, but don't get why the other guy is doing the same as last time. Okay, this is one called Keep Hurting Me Daddy, Steve Wozniak. I try not to be political anymore, but I voted for Trump. I like what he's doing, just not the way he's doing it. The Democrats are living up to their symbol in their actions and rhetoric. I don't know what he means by symbol. I feel like I was lied to. All all the fix America talk was just to get in the door. Yeah, duh. He wanted to stay out of jail. I would like real proof, not made up numbers. Start naming names. Who benefited from this government waste? I was told Social Security and Medicare were safe. Elon says he's going after these two programs because they are nothing but entitlements. Well, I paid into my entitlement for 47 years. Finally, I can't wait for my electricity from Canada to go up $100 a month, my groceries to be unaffordable, and my 401k tanking. I'm a proud American, no longer proud, but glad not to be a self-serving, alienating Democrat. So he's still, hating on Democrats, but he's also not liking what Donald Trump's doing, obviously. So he must live in the Northeast. He sees that his electricity from Canada is going to go up. I mean, what did they expect? Trump told them what he was going to do before he got in office. He said he was going to start a big trade war. We tried to tell him, we told you over and over again that the trade war is going to just make your prices go up. Everyday people are the ones who are going to pay more in this trade war. Not Trump, not Musk, but just everyday regular people. And that's what's happening. Okay, here's one you might have heard about. JD Vance getting accosted by protesters the other day. Ish Morningstar says, damn, it's almost like everyone hates you. Wish the toddler had a dad that cared. And here's JD Vance's post on X, I'm sure. Today, while walking my 3-year-old daughter, a group of Slava Ukraini protesters followed us around and shouted as my daughter grew increasingly anxious and scared. I decided to speak with the protesters in the hopes that I could trade a few minutes of conversation for them leaving my toddler alone. Nearly all of them agreed. It was mostly respectful conversation, but if you're chasing a 3-year-old as part of a political protest, you're a shit person. Oh, JD Vance, you're a shit person. And they weren't chasing your daughter, you idiot. They were chasing you just because you and Elon Musk want to take your little kids out there to protect you from the horde that's coming after you for, I don't know, cutting their jobs, lying about cutting costs to food, lying about everything else, basically lying about Ukraine, lying about Vladimir Putin being an innocent actor. That's why they're coming after you, not your 3-year-old daughter. You could use your kids as a shield if you want, but everybody sees right through it. So this one was pulled off of the conservative subreddit and put on the, leopards eating my face Reddit. I really wish Trump is a bit more open in describing what he wants from Canada. What's the end goal here? There's no way it's a 51st state thing. That's just trolling, and we don't need another liberal state to tip power in Washington. He said it's for border security. Well, they are increasing their border security, and the northern border isn't nearly the problem the southern border is. I struggle to see what the end goal is. He's hurting conservatives in Canada who would have had a slam dunk election just a few months ago. A new pipeline would have been easy with Canadian and American conservatives working together. He's hurting consumers here. I can't figure this one out. And here's the reply. Canada as the 51st state is fucking stupid, even for any conservative. Imagine adding California 2.0 just with hockey and snow to the US. Yeah, they'll get like 54 electoral college votes if they were to join tomorrow, and the Dems would win every election until kingdom come. Yeah, that's true. I mean, if Canada were to become the 51st state, which Canada doesn't want to be the 51st state, I don't blame them. They get free, good health care. The conservative talking point that Canada's wait hours for health care and all that stuff, or weeks or whatever, that's all just a lie. Yeah, for elective surgeries, they wait a little longer. But guess what? It's free. They don't have to take out loans to get surgery. There's no people that go into bankruptcy in Canada, not one for health care bills. So think about that, Americans. Jugs 2018 says, next door, Trumpist didn't vote for a billionaire and a convicted felon to cut her Social Security. So now Musk and Trump are planning to dissolve Social Security and Medicare. I did not vote for that. Yes, you did. They said what they were going to do. He said he was going to protect Social Security, and his little caveat is except if it's fraud and waste, which they're just going to call everything fraud and waste and say the program doesn't work, Social Security, so we're just going to get rid of it altogether and privatize it, and hedge fund managers will put it all into the stock market and they'll make millions and billions of dollars off it, and the American people, when they retire and go into Social Security, they'll just be in destitute poverty. After 8 years, it seems that the failed businessman who can bankrupt casinos might not be the genius 4D chess player. Okay, so this is Deep South conservative. Top 1% commenter. I think that unfortunately, this is Trump. I also wish for 4D chess, but overall, he's best at trolling and stirring things up. He's doing exactly what he said he would do. Since I've started taking him at his word when he says stupid shit, I increasingly believe he doesn't know what he's doing, and he has lost a solid team around him to provide guidance. Yeah, okay, genius, you just figured it out now that Trump doesn't know what he's doing. How about his 6 bankruptcies? You ever hear in casinos the house always wins? Well, not when they're run by Donald Trump, because he doesn't know how to run a business. He inherited $500 million. Get it through your thick skulls, conservatives. Trump is not a good businessman. He doesn't have business acumen. I had that guy on my channel a few weeks ago, got fired from the IRS. He said, well, I voted for Trump because of his business acumen. There's no business acumen there. He's brain dead. He cares about being on TV and people liking him. He's a narcissist, sociopath, and he doesn't care about you, the American middle-class voter. Conservatives pissed off over DJT rambling about making Canada the 51st state. God damn, dude, let it the F go. This is that Trump ego thing causing problems. He said it, people laughed. Now he's not going to ever let it go until somebody else looks bad. Conservatives regret voting. Nope, he's still doing a bunch of good and necessary shit that would never have happened otherwise. And even if not for that, a Kamala presidency would still be an exceptionally worse situation for everyone. Honestly, I'm genuinely not sure anymore. Trust me when I say I did not want Harris in office, but would she have waged trade wars with our allies, threatened to leave NATO and the UN, and sympathize with Russia in the Ukraine conflict? Oh, the leopards are eating their face. They're starting to come around, these conservatives. This is pretty hopeful, actually. I mean, it's still a long ways till the midterms. We have those 3 special elections coming up soon. Maybe we could get some more Democrats in and not 3 more crazy Republicans, but they're all in heavily Republican districts, 2 in Florida and 1 in New York. So if you're in those districts, even if you're Republican, maybe go vote for the Democrats, suck it up this time, just take away some of Elon's power. That's really what we need right now, because Elon is devastating the federal government, and he's going after Social Security next, and he's going after Medicare. They already are. I mean, Medicaid's pretty much done. It's on the chopping block. But Social Security and Medicare are coming next unless we stop Elon. So Republicans, think about, that Matt Gaetz district in the northern panhandle of Florida, and then the other Daytona Beach district, which both Trump won by 30. If Republicans come out against Elon Musk, not necessarily Trump, but come out against Elon Musk, we might be able to tip the scales where we could save Social Security. I know people in Florida want that because I'm not sure, but it's probably the oldest demographic in the country, state, that harbors the oldest people probably who, are generally on Social Security. I know my sister's in-laws are there. They live on Social Security, and most of the people in Florida probably live on Social Security. D. Trey says, Donald Trump shares message for those complaining about egg prices. Shut up. That's the answer, Trump. Good exam. Billionaires that Trump's swearing in have since lost $200 billion. Bloomberg. Okay, guys, I know things are crazy in the U.S. right now. The economy around the world is suffering from one man, Donald Trump. It's incredible that one man can have this much power. 2 men, actually. His partner there, Elon Musk is also helping with the crashing the economy. Trump said the other day he wouldn't rule out a recession because, there's going to be some pain with what he's doing, but he's not going to feel the pain. Musk's not going to feel the pain. It's the rest of us, the other 350 million Americans that are going to feel the pain, and Canadians and Mexicans. But you know what? Canadians have a safety net. Mexicans even have somewhat, in some respects, a better safety net than us. Like their healthcare is much cheaper. They could just go and pay for healthcare if they need it out of pocket. Unlike in the U.S., if you don't have healthcare, if you get fired from your federal job, you don't have healthcare, you can't just go pay out of pocket because just going to visit a doctor costs $1,000. The average American, would go broke if they had a $400 emergency. They couldn't cover it, is what the statistics say. So if you have to go to the doctor, you lose your health care, you have to go to the doctor. Now they're cutting Medicare, which is basically the backstop, which is not great anyway to begin with, but it is the backstop for that. If you lose your job and you have no income, you could get Medicare to cover your health expenses, especially if you have some conditions already. I don't know if you guys remember, if you're old enough to remember, before Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, some people don't realize that that's the same thing. If you have pre-existing conditions, you couldn't get health care. I'm old enough to remember this. I don't have any pre-existing conditions, but people with diabetes, they just couldn't get health care unless they had it through their job. So you had to pay for everything out of pocket because the capitalist pigs who run our healthcare system. Anyway, I don't want to get off topic. Trump is tanking the economy with his tariff war, and it's not so much just the huge tariffs of 25% on Mexico and Canada. It's also like the erratic tariffs. I'm going to start, these tariffs are going to start on February 1st, then they're going to start on March 3rd, then April 2nd, or this Wednesday. And then, like I said before, he doubled the tariffs, the iron and aluminum coming out of Canada, because Doug Ford, the premier in Ontario, put a 25% tax on the electricity they're exporting to Vermont and northern New York and those places. So basically, this is the definition of a tariff war. It's causing the stock market to crash. All your 401ks are going down. Crypto's crashing, and Trump's out there playing with Elon Musk, buying a Tesla, using the president's platform to try and sell Teslas for Elon Musk because Tesla is crashing at the same time. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. I'll be back in a few days with another video. Subscribe, like, and comment, and I'll see you soon.